Okay. Well, as I said in the previous video, I've deleted the Buy Me a Coffee fund. Um, just too much crap with the government, and it's not, you know. Basically, all you people were doing really was paying the government of Ontario. That's all. So there's no point to that. I mean, I doubt you'd want to support our government here if you knew what it was like. If you lived under it, you wouldn't. But anyway, and I know the money was intended for me, but I'm going to be only allowed to keep a small amount of it, and it just isn't worth all the crap basically that I have to go through. And so I've deleted it. Um, I'm hoping now that I haven't lost my pension entirely over it. They've suspended the file. And if I have to go to a doctor or anything like that to get reinstated, I'm really screwed because I don't have a doctor and I can't go to the emergency ward. And I'm just screwed. That's all. If I lose the pension, then I'm totally screwed. And, so anyway, even though the pension isn't enough to live on, this is why I started the Buy Me a Coffee Fund thing. But yeah. Anyway, it is what it is. That's all. There's one thing I'd like to mention, though. What I have gone through today is a good example of why we need to resist the end of cash. It's why we need to resist the digital ID, which they're trying to force on us, and also the end of cash. Because basically, if they end cash, every one of you is going to be sitting where I am right now. Only you won't be sitting in a truck because you won't own a truck. You won't be allowed to. But, unless you're doing some job for the government that involves driving a truck, in which case they'll issue you a truck as part of your equipment, I guess, to do your job. But otherwise, you won't be sitting in a truck. You certainly won't own a truck or any other kind of a vehicle. This is what they want for us. Um, Everything is geared toward making it hard to survive. Everything. They've jacked the cost of living through the roof. They've made it just very difficult to survive. And we're suffering here, and not just here. I know it's all over the world. See, it's a globalist thing. And of course, global means worldwide, Here in Canada, we actually have a news network called the Global News Network. Global television. Yep, we do. And, it's basically all government propaganda. The same with CTV, which is the Canadian Television Network or whatever. And then there's also CBC, which is this Canadian Broadcast Corporation, which is actually the official broadcaster of the Canadian government. All of them just propaganda arms of the government is all. Anyway, I don't want to deal with it any more than I have to with the government. The government is horrible. I mean, it's just awful. And today was a good example of that. I'm completely stressed out. I'm worried. I'm sad. And this is how it always is for me when I deal with the government. I'd be stressed out, worried, and sad. And it's never good. Anyway, yeah. The social worker says, well, you're getting more off that than you are off us, so you should keep it. No, I shouldn't. Because by the time they deduct everything, right now I'm not eligible for my pension at the end of this month. I've also incurred a nearly $300 overpayment, $280 some odd dollars as an overpayment that I got to pay back to them. I've made around $2,000 US Canadian, around $2,000 Canadian. It's 1405 was the final figure when I closed out the account that's been raised. Now there was $22 in there and 60 some odd cents that I won't be receiving now because I've closed the account. To Jutta McGinnis, I appreciate the $25 contribution. That's what that was. They take a fee. That's why it was 22.60 something. That should be coming back to you. So please watch your account and make sure you get that back, because it should be coming back to you into your bank account. I don't think it's going to come to me at this point, and really it shouldn't. It should be going back to you. So hopefully it will. Yeah. Somebody suggested opening a post office box and stuff, but the thing is, if people send me checks, I got to cash them at the bank. And the only way you can cash a check at the bank now is to have it go into your bank account. So right there's a record of it. See, this is what happens when we do away with cash. When there's no more cash money, the government will know every little thing you do, and they can fuck you in virtually every position. You think the Kama Sutra has a lot of positions? You haven't seen the government in action. You know, the most talented and prolific porn star out there cannot fuck you in as many positions as the government, and in as many ways as the government. You've got holes in your body you don't even know you have, but the government knows they're there. And it's got a big tool that it'll shove right in there for you. So the bottom line is, I know I'm being kind of nasty with the things I'm saying right now, but I'm kind of mad, and I'm kind of frustrated, and I'm sad, and I'm scared. I mean, and I don't like any of that. None of those are positive emotions. I mean, like I say, I really thought that maybe I was going to get out from under this situation, but no, that's not going to happen. I can forget all about that. Yeah. I don't know what I'm going to do when I have to move into this truck. The truck needs a lot of repairs. I was hoping to use that money to fix the truck and to pay down my debts. None of that's going to happen now. I incurred most of the debt because the pension doesn't pay enough to heat a house. And basically, I couldn't heat my house when I had it. I was buying fuel oil on credit, running up a credit card, buying fuel oil, and freezing because I had the heat turned down as low as it would go. But the trouble is, with all the taxes our government puts on fuel oil's too expensive, and the pension doesn't pay enough to buy fuel oil. And then, of course, I lost my job with the auctioneer. His wife was a nut job. His wife was a complete head case. And I don't take it lightly to say that either. I'm not kidding. She really was. And I offended her I don't know how many times. I'd be working on the property there when they were closed because the husband, the auctioneer, had asked me to, and because part of my job was maintenance of the property, and she'd be in the house pointing a gun at me, pointing a rifle at me, threatening to shoot me. Just to give you an idea, that's how batshit crazy this woman is. During auctions, she's an auctioneer too. During auctions, if people weren't bidding, she'd throw a tantrum and storm off the podium and stuff. Like, that's what I'm talking about. Total, So anyway, I ended up losing the job. Basically, I just lost the job because I couldn't be there with these people. Basically, that's what it was. All the drama in their family and all the rest of it that I found myself caught up in all the time. Anyway, the bottom line is that by the time they take all the money off me, all that's happening is I'm ending up with maybe a tiny bit more than I have on the pension anyway. It's not worth it. And then you got to go through all this bullshit with them, to get your file reinstated because they cut your file off, and it's. Anyway, and then you incur overpayments. I now actually owe them money, believe it or not. I'm poor as a friggin' church mouse, and I owe the government money. The billionaires who run the government, I owe them money. And all I was trying to do is get out from under a bad situation. But anyway, it is what it is. Regardless of all that, I'm appreciative of everyone here, and the ones who contributed and the ones who didn't too. Everybody who watches my videos, I'm appreciative of you. I don't always agree with all of you, especially sometimes when I get a woman on here that wants to tell me my business. I don't do that. I don't handle that very well. I acknowledge that. I don't handle that very well. But even so, doesn't mean I'm not appreciative in my own way. But yeah, that's where we are anyway. That's what's happening. I wish life was different. I wish life was less complicated. But like I say, if you want to see what's going to happen to you if we get rid of cash, look what's happened to me today, and it'll give you an idea. Unless we can hide things from the government is going to just wreck us. We need to have the ability not to tell the government all our business, and for the government not to know all our business, because the government will wreck us otherwise. And the banks are in league with the government. When the government of Canada froze people's bank accounts if they supported the trucker convoy, they could only do that with the support of the banks. The banks weren't required to freeze the accounts, but they did so. They sided with the government. So just bear that in mind. If you're totally dependent on the banking system and on electronic funds and on electronic transactions, electronic currency, what's happened to me today will happen to you. And it'll happen to you every day. And it'll happen to you in a myriad of ways, not just the way it's happening to me right now. And so I'll use this opportunity, which is a sad day for me and an unfortunate day. I'll use this opportunity just to drive the point home. We need to keep cash. Cash is freedom. That's the bottom line. It's the only freedom you're ever going to have, you're going to get from having cash. Once we get into digital programmable currency, the government can turn your money off or reduce the value of it anytime it feels like it, for any reason it feels like it. The government can fix it so you can't save money because your money that you haven't used already will expire on a certain date. The government can fix it so that you can only earn so much, and then they decide how much they're going to tax you. The government can decide if they're going to put fines against you for any behavior that it deems undesirable. They do this in China already. If you want to know about it, look up social credit system in China. Do a little research on that. That's what they want to bring here. Anyway, they can restrict you from buying. If the government decides that you shouldn't be allowed to buy a certain thing, you won't be allowed to buy it. If the government, they'll be able to tell you where to live. They'll be able to tell you what you can talk about and how you can talk, because if you talk differently than they want you to talk, they'll cut off your money. They'll shut it down. They only have so much power over us right now because of cash. Once cash is gone, we're screwed. Cash is precious. They tried to do away with cash during COVID, and it was amazing the people that fell for it. People that were afraid to handle cash because it might have cooties on it and it might kill you. They had everybody, not everybody, I wasn't scared, and there's a bunch of us that weren't, but they had a lot of people frightened to handle cash. And that was part of the thing. They tried to squeeze as many of these New World Order, Klaus Schwab type agenda things into it as they could. That's what they did. They tried to get as much bang for their buck as they could out of that scamdemic. Anyway, they're con artists, they're crooks. You know, like I say this again, I said it before, I'll say it again. This isn't a dig against my social worker. She's just a cog in the wheel. She's got to do her job the way they tell her to do it. If she doesn't do the job the way they tell her to do it, then she'll end up like me, poor, you know. And, you know, she deals with poor people all day long, so I would imagine she's not too keen on becoming one of us. You know, and having to deal with the shit that we have to deal with all the time. Anyway, because she knows firsthand, because she's got to be the messenger to deliver the bad news. Okay, we're gonna fuck you in the following ways this month. You know, that's her job, really, to deliver that news. And then to take the flack for it from us when we don't like it. You know, so like I say, it is what it is. It's not the social worker's fault. She's as much a victim as anybody, really. I'd hate to work in that environment right now. My previous social worker got out of that office and went and started a cat rescue. That's what she did. And I remember when she retired, when she took her retirement, it was right around the time Doug Ford got into office, and Doug Ford was talking about doing a bunch of shit to the disabled people. And I honestly believe she got out because she just didn't want to deal with all that. She didn't want to be the one to have to do that, to deal with it, to be dealing with all that stuff, and to work in that atmosphere. And like I say, she had enough years in that she was eligible to retire, and she could retire. And plus, she's a married woman, so she has her husband also to help her out, you know. But, I mean, not everybody's in that position. I don't know what my social worker's situation is. She may not be in a position where she can do that. She may really need this job. And, I mean, look, she might even be a believer in this corrupt system. I don't know that she isn't. The thing is, I also don't know that she is. And so I'm not going to pass any personal judgments against her. I understand it isn't her doing this to me. You know, it's not a personal thing, and it's not her doing this to me. It's the government, you know, and the government sucks. What can I tell you? It just sucks. Anyway, here we are. I wish that I had better news for you. I really do. It'd be nice to have better news for you. But anyway, you know, life has its ups and downs, and I guess this is just a down day, that's all. There are up days too. It isn't always like this. All right, bye for now.